Did you get the message?
Assalamu alaikum, sister. It's not only in Afghanistan that we have strong women. First of all, I have to tell you, you have to be grateful to God for this donkey because he gave you the chance. And we all have to have some chance in our life to come to Islam. But what I wanted to ask you, I'm not very political. I wanted to ask you because you're involved in women's rights. And unfortunately, the truth of the world is that we have the Quran, which teaches us that women are equal, that women have rights, that there is justice, that these rights must be enforced. But unfortunately, we also have culture in a lot of areas which is used to override this. In some cases, they pervert the religion to support their cause, as every religion has been perverted throughout history. And as an ex-Christian, I can say that nobody actually believes that the Inquisition was a Christian thing to do either. But what is happening now, and is there, you don't have a lot of time tonight, but is there a website or somewhere we can get more information about what you're doing and what we can do to help?
Right. I do have my own website, which is www.yvonneridley.com, but there's also a website up here for anyone in New Zealand who's interested in the Muslim community. You are right, there are male-dominated cultures that do behave in an un-Islamic way. The only way that we're going to overcome this is to educate the women about their rights over their men and educate the men about their rights over their women. And education is very important, and that is the way forward. But don't anyone run away with the idea that oppressed women are only from the Muslim communities. I could take you back to my hometown in the north of England, and you would see that it is something that isn't exclusive to Muslim communities. It's a global problem.
Yes, Yvonne. I listen to quite a few of your statements here, and it sends the mind wandering all over the planet. When you mention Belmarsh, there's also a place in Scotland called Dungavel. It's on a place with Paramarimarimo. And when you look at these different governments, or parliaments, or White Houses, you make the very valid point they're not to be trusted, nor is the media, as the media is only there to dictate what the people want to hear. They've got people split up like Goebbels had before the First World War, and you look at the Second World War, I should say, and when you look at people were divided there, they had German against German, British against British, and the common denominator has been missing in the speech tonight, or in the address tonight. These various politicians, they're totally dependent on capital. And when you look at the huge finance houses and investment houses, they dictate terms to whichever government they're going to give money to. And as far as Winston Peters goes, he's no different from any other politician that's not telling the truth. Incidentally, Peters is like myself. He's half Irish, half Scots. He's half Scotch, half Maori. What are we all? We're merely human beings under the dictates of imperialism and capitalism. And what's happening in New Zealand right now, we've seen an insidious way that the media is playing one group off against the other, the same as it did in any previous wars or any reason to cause dissent among the working class.
I agree wholeheartedly with what you say, and you know, if we have a bad media, it's our fault. If you don't like what you read, send in a letter and complain. You actually can change the media if you do it collectively and demand a better service. Editors do monitor the volume of letters that come in, and if they get a lot of letters on one particular theme, even though they might only print one or two, they will be aware that there is concern there. So it's important not only to use places like this as an arena to sound off, but also to put your feelings in letters and send them off as well.
Assalamu alaikum, Yvonne. I have a question for you. The American spin doctors have advised President Bush to stop using the phrase war on terrorism and call it struggle against extremist violence. If struggle means a jihad, do you think the Americans are now launching their own jihad movement? Your comments, please. Thank you.
As I said before, the Americans, well, it's not the Americans. I mean, we've got to be careful not to demonize the Americans. 50 million Americans did not vote for George Bush. So, you know, we must remember that. And it's bad enough that we have to talk about him now. It must be hell actually having to live in a country that's been run by him when you haven't voted for him. American imperialism has been at the heart of most of the world's wars in the last century. And in fact, if you look at American foreign policy for the future, they use a term called full spectrum dominance. And this is what they are setting out to do, full spectrum dominance. And it means they want to control the land, the sea, the sky, and outer space. They want to control it all. But it isn't for the Americans, because don't believe all this rubbish about the American dream. We all see the Hollywood images of large Manhattan apartments with 6 friends living and having happy lives and all the other Hollywood images. The reality is over 50 million people in America are without basic health care. Infant mortality rates are higher in some states than in parts of Latin America. Black men in Detroit have a lower life expectancy than men living in Bangladesh. The American dream is only for a select few, for the American imperialists, for the neocons who are in the White House. And don't even think that they care about the armies that they send out to invade Muslim lands. These soldiers, there are 40,000 soldiers called green card soldiers. These are kids from Guatemala, Mexico, and other countries who have been promised fast-track citizenship if they join up for Uncle Sam. So, you know, there are 2 levels. There are the neocons, and then there are the ordinary people. And as I say, more than 50 million Americans did not vote for Bush, so we should really be careful to differentiate.
Yvonne, I have a son and 2 daughters. I cannot imagine living in a system where my son would feel it his duty to express his disapproval of my daughter's boyfriend by killing her. When will honest killings cease in the Middle East?
Well, it's not just the Middle East, it's across Asia as well, and it's not just a Muslim problem. It's a cultural problem. And it's actually not just reserved to those areas, because it is a much wider problem. But please, for one moment, don't think it's a Muslim problem, and please, for one moment, don't think that honor killings have anything at all to do with Islam, because they certainly don't.
How do you explain your life after being a Muslim, doing your day-to-day activities and praying 5 times in a day and continue your profession? Because a lot of women who are not Muslims may believe that if they join Islam, they're not able to continue their profession, or they're not able to do their own day-to-day activities. How do you explain your life after being a Muslim? Thank you.
There is absolutely nothing that a Muslim woman can do that a Western woman can't, and vice versa. We all aspire to pray 5 times.